All right, hello. Look, I am delighted. I cannot tell you how delighted I am to welcome back some past winners of the Fieldays Innovation Awards. We had Darren Bainbridge from My Apiary, Darren Ross of Stick Solutions. They are here in the studio, and Mark Orr of No Harm Farm is joining us from beautiful Queenstown. All right, thank you everyone for joining.
How you going, Radar?
Look, I'm going super well. How's Queenstown?
Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Always,
I've been looking at property down there, just looking. I'm probably not going to move there. But that's not why we're here.
We'd love to have you, Radar. Come on down.
Oh, thank you. It's always good when you get a personal invitation. Hey, look, let's have a quick rip around and talk about what year you won and what you won it for. We'll start with you, Darren, from My Apiary.
Cool. I think we won in 2017. We won the Grassroots Prototype Award for our innovative weighing platform for beehives.
For people that haven't seen this is a great idea. What happens with it?
The idea was to monitor beehives in the field and give that, feed that data back to beekeepers so they could make informed decisions. But we actually pivoted away from what we originally presented at Fieldays and focused more on the software management platform.
Right, and so that initial idea was you have scales under the beehives, and that sends almost in real time the data of how full those hives are, and from that you could judge whether bees were being productive or not productive in a certain area.
Well, exactly. We weren't really looking at the honey, we were looking at the health. Yeah. So when could we optimise when the beekeeper needs to return? Super good.
Darren?
Yeah, we won our award, I think it was 2016, and we've developed a batten system to replace traditional battens or droppers, depending on what part of the country you come from. And that really came about because we saw a lot of people stapling and nailing timber onto fences. It's a technology that hasn't changed for donkey's years. And we really wanted to go out and explore better options for building stronger, robust fences, taking out there is environmental issues around leaching and toxins out of timber, treated timber, and really generating a fencing system where you could put hot wires on it, add on other features and technology in the future.
So what were your battens made out of?
So they're made out of a high automotive grade type polypropylene. So at the end of life, they can be fully recycled. We expect them, they've been UV tested and accelerated testing. We engaged pretty early in the piece of Callaghan innovation to make sure that what we did had some substance behind it. And, for that, we can give a 5-year warranty on the product, which is, a lot better than some of the other products out there. And at the end of life, when it comes to the end of the life of the product, we can take that, repurpose it, and probably turn it into the likes of a future post. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Marvellous. Mark, how about you?
We won some funding actually last year from the Fieldays Association, which was awesome, with Callaghan Innovation and Agritech New Zealand to help us go up to the UK and have a look around as well.
And what was your product?
We've got a platform that's simple, mobile and paperless, just trying to reduce the paperwork around occupational health and safety requirements, and we focused primarily on agriculture.
So I think I've probably used some of them. Many people have used that, platform, signing into various things. You can read through all the lists of hazards and whatnot.
Yeah, Radar, I think you might have come across it with Young Farmers events.
Yes, I have.
You do some adjudication there as well, so you probably use the platform coming through there as well.
In fact, there are still probably many events that I'm still signed into, because really it's a fantastic platform, bar the fact that imbeciles such as myself sometimes forget to sign out.
That's right, we aim to please, Radar.
It is, and look, it is great, particularly for people turning up, and you would know going into the field, you're turning up often in places, and to be able to scroll through and see all of those lists of hazards and read them and sign them off. You're all continuing to do things. You're saying now you've moved away from that initial sort of idea into the software side of things. What does that involve?
Yeah, so we're focused on helping our beekeepers actually run a good business. So workforce management and record keeping.
So workforce like the bees, and to making sure they're
optimise, working the hardest. We're looking at staff. So, a lot of beekeepers got into beekeeping because it was something they loved, or they were working for someone else, and then they've started their own business. But they've not necessarily had a business management background. So we're like, how can we help beekeepers actually do really well? Because without the beekeeper, we don't have bees.
That's right. And look, it has become incredibly popular. Every time I'm turning up to little AMP shows around the place, I'm meeting so many beekeepers.
Yeah, it's certainly growing in New Zealand. I think we've probably got the highest density of beehives in the world.
Yeah. How about you? You continuing to refine the product, Darren?
Yes, we are. I mean, we tried to take it through a major rural distributor. That didn't quite work out for us, so we're revisiting how we target and talk to our customers directly, because ultimately, when we engage with those customers, we also want to talk to them about other problems they might have. And so we're going to take other technology, embed it and bundle it together. We've got a product map that we're working on at the moment and a roadmap to get that out to market. So we just don't want the Sticks baton to be a simple baton carrying wires and making life a bit easier. We want it to be able to carry other gadgets and widgets in the future.
What kind of gadgets and widgets?
Watch this space. We might come back for another award.
Can they become a gadget and widget in and of themselves?
Potentially.
Cool, this is exciting, isn't it?
Potentially.
Hey, look, one of the things about this, it's not just the trophy, Mark. You know, as you mentioned, you part of the Innovation Awards, you got the connections and some funding to go and travel up to talk to people. What's the sort of support you get from winning something like this?
I guess it gives you some, initially some recognition about what you're working on is worthwhile, and that's always good for your self-esteem. But as you say, it gives you those connections. And I think even the innovation tent, when you go through there, it does attract a lot of people at the physical field days itself. Almost all participants come through there, and you do run into a lot of general managers, CEOs, or different organisations, and they tend to come and have a look at what's new and innovative. So that support from the field days is very paramount, I think, for new ideas.
And as well, I imagine it gives you a chance not only to showcase your idea, but to stand there and listen to people and probably the conversations and the comments and whatnot. All of a sudden you think, oh, actually, that's a good idea, or that's something we hadn't quite realised, as well as meeting, you know, potential customers.
Absolutely, yep. And I think it'd be the same with the other two lads there as well. Yeah, that feedback's really important. I mean, in the occupational health and safety space, when we came out in 2015, originally there was a lot of discussion about what should be included and how difficult it was in an agricultural situation to meet the requirements of the Act and the new law. So, yeah, those physical contacts and discussions with potential customers is really useful.
Yeah. Darren, I think I remember when you won, actually, suddenly there was a whole lot of people scuttling over to your stand to have a discussion around the technology in other fields as well.
That's right, yeah. It was an interesting time, and I think the big thing we've got out of this and on the journey is you've got to be communicating with the customers. Ultimately, it's got to add value. It's got to improve their bottom line. You know, farming margins are being squeezed all the time. And, you know, we had a conversation with a farmer this morning and went out and looked at the battens going on the fence and talked about the benefits and the features, but we soon got into a conversation around a whole lot of other problems that he's going, well, if I can do this and you can add that on and, you know, create this value, then, you know, you're going to save us some money. So that was good.
Good. Hey, look, no shortage of problems to be solved, Darren. Where does the innovation come from, do you think? Does it come from sitting and listening? Does it come from having a clever person who can solve things? What's the key to innovation?
I think innovations that really make a difference is getting deep domain knowledge. So really going and talking and listening to your customer. I spent years travelling the country on the road, my crappy car, just turning up and just talking to people, and really learning what their pain point was.
Yeah, Mark. For you, where do you think that notion of innovation comes from? It's an interesting one. We often talk about being a nation that prides itself on innovation. Is that a part of the cultural DNA of being a New Zealander? Is it something that can be taught to people or enhanced through education? How do we become and continue to be more innovative as a people?
Oh, possibly. I think, maybe for New Zealand, but I think it's a worldwide thing. There's people who are just interested in trying to solve problems. And I guess even, in our space, there's a lot of competition. A lot of people with good ideas about how to, make the application of health and safety simpler in all kinds of fields. So I don't think it's just a New Zealand thing. I think it's people coming up with a good idea and just trying to translate that to the customer. And I guess if it is a good idea, ultimately they will support that and drive it forward.
Indeed, and Mark, there's a sort of a difference between innovation and invention as well, isn't it? There's that ability for someone to look at something that may already be in market in one field or being developed and thinking, actually, I think there could be a use for that in an entirely separate field or in an entirely different way. Yeah,
I'd agree with that, Ray. I think a lot of the most successful things are generally just people that pick up an existing idea and do it better, and that's because there's already an existing market for that. And if someone was looking at innovation, I'd recommend that to try and get something that's probably something that's solved but not solved well enough, and that's universal and has a big enough market, not only in New Zealand but globally, to make it a success, because it is New Zealand's a small market, and you need to, or if you've got the possibility or a great idea and it's got universal appeal, that's going to be very helpful for you.
Indeed.
If you're looking at financial success.
Yeah. Darren, there's no doubt some people sitting around in their homes and workshops who know someone who's full of clever ideas. What would you say to someone who's sitting around at the moment with that clever idea?
I think, there's thousands of people out there with those ideas, and at the end of the day, I think you've got to go out. You can come up with a fancy widget, and you might think that is going to solve someone's problem, but to you and actually engage with the customer and talk to them about what the issues is and what you're trying to solve, then it's only through your lens that you've got that view of the world. And even if it is a great invention, it's about engaging and networking with the right people. It might be capital, it might be a technology or the university, or it could be the likes of Callaghan. But there's a lot of people who go out looking for investment, but often that's not what they need. They need the expertise to take it to market, look at distribution channels. I know developing my own product was different to doing contract manufacturing for other people. And the journey I've been on, the learning curve through that has been very, very steep.
Yeah. Was it a hard decision, Darren, to enter? Do you think some people are held back because they think, I don't know if I want to enter, or maybe they think they're not at a certain stage of development with their product, or they're scared that someone might see it and steal the idea?
I think there's definitely a lot of that. I was going to enter the Innovation Awards myself 2 years prior, and I pulled out, I think, with 2 weeks to go. And in a way, I'm glad I did. We came back far more prepared. But you do need to take a massive step, and for us, it put us on the scene, right? People all suddenly knew who we were, and the press following the awards was phenomenal, and it was all on from that day.
It was all on. Best thing that's come to you, Mark, as a result of the Innovation Awards?
I just think the exposure to the opportunity to, work with distributors or trying to find the marketplace. So by winning the innovation, we got a lot of people coming to talk to us and look at what we were doing and to see whether our solution would actually work for their customers. So I think that's the biggest outcome we got from the Innovation Award itself.
Yeah, and for you down there in Queenstown, that proof that you can come up with these ideas from anywhere in the world, literally, even little sleepy backwaters such as, the Central Otago Hill Country. What next for you?
It's a bit weird. Well, I've got a farming background, but interestingly, we've just built another application for a national incident database for the Ski Association of New Zealand and with ACC. So they're collecting incident data for the public. And the cool thing about that is that we collect, it's live now. I think we've collected over 1,000 incidents in the first 2 or 3 weeks of this holiday. So
but that is both excellent and terrifying.
Well, yeah, about 1.2% of all people that go skiing get injured in some way. And the thing about New Zealand is that obviously it's funded through ACC for the rehabilitation. So we can do cause to cost analysis.
Brilliant.
From where the injury is right through to what the rehabilitation cost is for that.
Good Lord.
For, I guess the New Zealand taxpayer.
Take nothing else from this. Yeah. Skiing is dangerous. Hey, look, Darren, what's next for you guys?
We're certainly looking at, we've definitely got some ideas on we're working on. We want to take my APRI, but also another idea that I won't disclose right now, but to the global market.
Great thing about innovators, isn't it? There's always a little gleam in their eye, and there's always an idea that they're working on that you don't know. When will we see it?
I think in 18 to 24 months.
Great. What about you, Darren?
Well, similar. We're using the baton as a baseline or a tool to entry to obviously various parts of the sector. Funny enough, we're now looking at also other security aspects where we can put that technology. But we're really pivoting and going into the tech space and add-ons, and it's very exciting.
Everyone's getting into the tech, and that's where it all starts, isn't it? You start with one thing, and then very soon you're moving into quite another space. And interesting that all of it, digital platform, sort of a semi-digital platform way, now moving into the software, and just a baton guy.
Yeah.
Old fence and action, now even that is a high-tech world in and of itself. Are you worried about fenceless farming?
No, not at all. I mean, I actually like to drive down a motorway and like to see a fence there.
You do like to see it. There's always going to be
an emotional connection with it.
There is an emotional connection with fences. We do love them. Hey, look, congratulations to each and every one of you, as I know that all of those products have gone from strength to strength and changed over the last couple of years.